Welcome to the Tunisian Crochet Along. I had fully intended on this being not only the intro, but part one where we started doing a couple of stitches. But for some reason the universe doesn't like me today. While I was uploading it to my computer, I took a shower, hence the wet hair. So I came down to look at it and to do the final touches on it and everything. It's gone. I can't find it anywhere. Gone to the cloud, Dropbox, those are places I have automatically set that when I upload something it goes there, so I can go there and review it and decide whether to delete it or what. It's gone. Just poof. So today we're just gonna do the intro. I don't have time to film it again this afternoon. Probably won't have time till Saturday or Sunday. So the actual first part where we start doing the actual stitching, crocheting, Tunisian will be Monday. Yeah. Sorry. I just, Anyway, now I'll go over this a second time for the intro to Tunisian. Tunisian crochet definition is often considered a needlework technique that borrows element from knitting and crochet, creating a sort of fusion of the two techniques. I have heard that several times. I've also been told that no, that's not it, but we're not going to worry about it because that's the latest definition that I'm finding. The tool used to create Tunisian crochet resembles a straight knitting needle, except that it has a hook on one or both ends. This hook is much longer than a typical crochet hook. Like a knitting needle, it has to hold a large number of stitches, and this is true. And when you hold your hook, now this is my regular clover that I'm going to actually start my chain with, and it's a 10mm hook. You would hold it much knife-like. Either hand. Lots of times when you're knitting, you're holding them both hands. The actual pattern work that I'm going to be doing is on, this was one of the Dreams set that I got many years ago. I actually got 2 sets of each hook in there. And this is a 9mm, a size M or 13 hook. And it has the attachable cord and a stopper on the end. You can use a long Tunisian crochet hook. You can use the ones that are the bamboo with the plastic cord. You can use a double-ended, which it would be, and that's why I bought 2 sets of these, is because if I ever wanted to do double-ended work, I could put a hook on this end and a hook on this end. So I would have 2 hooks, same size, on each end. And they always tell you that the grip is pretty similar to what you would do when you're knitting. Yeah, pretty much. So I'm going to put my hook that I'm actually going to be doing the work with down. And when you're working rows in Tunisian, you actually start with the foundation row. Now my foundation row is, I'm going to start with that larger hook, and I am going to chain 75. So if you want to go ahead and start that part, you can. Now, in that traditional crochet, when we finish a row, we would turn and then work back to the other side. That is not how Tunisian works. Tunisian works that you're gathering all your stitches on that nice long cord or your hook needle. And then when you get to the end, what they call is a return pass. You are going to actually work your stitches off backwards until you only have one hook, one loop on your knitting needle. Your Tunisian hook. Got knitting on the brain, can you tell? So that's the difference in the way that you work Tunisian. It is a two-step process, and you never have to turn the work. Now, that's not absolutely true in Tunisian, because you can do a basic base setup to do triangular shawls, and you're not really turning, but you are going to have to pick up some stitches along those edges for that base. So you're kind of turning because you're going around the base, but we'll discuss that later. The first part of that process is called the forward, and the forward is like casting on and knitting. You're actually just picking up stitches off the loops, and then you'll hold those on that Tunisian crochet hook until you begin to start the second part. Second part is often called the return pass, and it's kind of like binding off in knitting, but not really. When you are working the return part of the row, you're basically consolidating the loops one stitch at a time until you only have one loop last. Now most return passes are you would go through one loop, basically you're chaining, and then you would yarn over and pull through two, yarn over through pull through two, all the way until you have that one last hook loop on the hook. And there are different stitches where you may do a different return pass, but generally when you see regular return pass, that's what you're looking for. You are doing that chain one, yarning over, pulling through two, yarn over, pull through two. That is what's considered a regular return pass. And you're going to complete a beautiful fabric, which it's hard to describe, because depending on the stitch that you're using, it may actually be a very thick fabric. It doesn't always have to be a thick fabric, but sometimes it is a fairly thick fabric. You can also work Tunisian crochet in the round. If you have gone over to Anna's channel, Adventures with Anna Passwater, you will see that she does a lot of her hats with Tunisian in the round. And for that you do need a double-ended hook. There is no way around it, and for most parts she uses double-ended hooks like these. These are the clover bamboo, and they're fairly short, so that you can get around to do your circular work to make the hats. And she has done some beautiful things with that. I believe she made also a bag that's on her Etsy shop. So I'll leave her link down below so that you can go see some of her work with her Tunisian in the round. Now, Tunisian can often mimic knitting or weaving. You can also do cables, textured stitches, ribs, laces, and a lot of things with Tunisian. Tunisian is one of those that I think is not utilized enough by crocheters, because you can make beautiful items with those. Many times, most of the folks, when they think of Tunisian crochet, they think of using interlock, making interlock crochet, which is making the small blocks that connect to one another. And with those, oftentimes you can use a regular hook, because you've only usually got 10 to 12 stitches on your crochet hook, so you don't need a Tunisian hook for even that part. So let's talk about other names for crochet, Tunisian crochet. Most of us would know it as the Afghan stitch, which is actually the Tunisian simple stitch that is used a lot. I think one of the first places that actually mentioned Tunisian crochet was in the 1882 Book of Needlework or Encyclopedia of Needlework, something like that. And they also listed that also as tricot stitch, railway stitch, which if you followed Mikey of the Crochet Crowd, you know he has one of his ladies that taught him railway stitching, which is just Tunisian crochet. Fool's stitch. Now the way that I had always heard it called was the idiot stitch. Now I don't know why they called it the idiot stitch or any of these other names. Who knows? There are a lot of other people that also will call it Afghan crochet, tricot crochet, crochet knit, Tunis crochet, and shepherd's knitting. Those are pretty much the same thing, and you can also I've also heard it from one of my friends who actually teaches English in the Ukraine at the university. She calls it Bosnian crochet, or now I'm going to butcher it. I think she called it pajoning. And sometimes that's what it's considered, but not always. She said the pajoning and the Bosnian crochet are a little different, but she sees a lot of Tunisian knit work, stitch work used in that. So some of the other crochet techniques that you're going to see that are going to be pretty much the same are crochet on the double, double-ended crochet, crow hooking, and crochet knit. There was a lady, I believe her name was Mary Hubbard, that I believe her and her family, you know that yellow plastic hook that I showed you quite a long time ago that has a red stopper on one end and has a green stopper on it, one end. She did a lot of crochet knit is what she called it, and she showed you how to do those things. I think it was Mary Hubbard. Don't quote me on that. The other one is someone had started making something that they called the Mo Easy crochet hooks, and those were the longer wooden hooks where one end is dipped in some rubber material to make it so that your stitches don't slip off, and those were made out of like dowels is what the gentleman made them out. He and his wife made those, made a lot of those. I don't know if you can even get those anymore. I have like 4 or 5 of those because I was really interested in doing a lot of things with that, and I did do a lot of things with that in the past. But, you know, I always want to do more with crochet and also Tunisian crochet. Just never have enough time to do it. Now, as you know, I am using scraps. I have a couple of not quite full of the cafe latte. This one happens to be a full one of the buff, but I have a couple that are not full. And then this one I believe is either pumpkin or carrot. I can never remember. I think it is actually carrot. I think the pumpkin is a little darker in color, but since there was no label and I bought it at Scraps and Skeins, I'm not real sure. and I don't have a full one anywhere to test that. Now I think I might throw in some warm brown, but I'm not positive, and those are going to be possibly my colors of my Afghan, sampler Afghan that we'll be making. So I hope this gives you a little introduction to it. Down below in the links, there are going to be links to several places where you can get different sheets that give you names of the, crochet stitches. I don't know if I have the one. This is the one with the crochet symbols, and you find that at Kim Guzman's site. There are the snugglery.net has a double-sided page that is crochet, all kinds of things about crochet, but it also has what it calls on the back special Tunisian crochet terms, and you need to know those abbreviations as well. Designed by Finessa.com has this that has a lot of the different abbreviations, and then of course the crochet crafty yarn council, craft yarn council, something like that, also has a long list on one page that you can copy and paste that has common terms for crochet and Tunisian abbreviations down at the bottom, and I'll leave those links down below so that you can download those. The only other thing that you may want, like normal, is a pad of paper and a pen, pencil, whatever, for writing, if you want to write down the stitches as we go. That is basically it for this portion. Like I said, you can go ahead and start with a chain of 75 and have it ready, set aside to go. Or you can just wait until I get it filmed. I'm telling you, some days it doesn't pay to get up in the morning. However, I am still going to continue to look for that, and if it shows up, you may get video tomorrow instead of Monday. But at this point, it looks like it's going to be Monday that comes. So that is the introduction to the Tunisian crochet along. We will probably be doing a lot of different stitches, like the normal, Tunisian simple stitch, Tunisian simple stitch reverse. That is one thing you need to remember: for every stitch that you can do one way in Tunisian, it also has a reverse, and that can change up your fabric as well. Tunisian crochet, for most people, is known to curl really bad. I have seen a lot of people say that you need to use a bigger hook to prevent the curl. When you do your first row of whatever you're doing, then you need to do a purl row. But I will tell you, the best way I've found to fight the curl is actually, after you've done that first Tunisian simple stitch, is to do the Tunisian simple stitch reverse, and that generally cancels the curl. So yeah, we're going to play a little, have a little fun with the sampler, and see what kind of stitches we can learn from this, and then eventually we'll advance it much later on in the year to doing a Tunisian shawl together, a triangular shawl. But first, let's learn some basic stitches. Let's have some fun with it. Kind of like the wild cow, we'll play it by ear, although I'm going to try not to promise. I'm going to try not to do different stitches than what I tell you that I was doing. Yeah. That's why it was a wild cow, right? I hope you have enjoyed what we're doing here, and I hope that you'll come back and join us for the rest of that. So I will see you soon. Everybody have a great day, and remember, kindness goes a long way.